Well, this is the second of three super polls that we're doing with YouGov, and we can reveal today that Labour, according to this survey, is now on course for a majority of 200 seats at the general election. Now, that's according to this new projection from YouGov, which does suggest that the Conservatives would then slump to the lowest number of seats since the party was formed. Labour would have the second largest majority since the Second World War. So it is a mega poll, and it's getting worse, I have to say, for the Conservative Party. But we've got lots of insights into this data, which is being released right now, and our Deputy Political Editor, Sam Coates, is with me now to take us through it. I'm going to step out and let Sam do his thing. Sam.
Well, if this is replicated on July the 4th, this figure here would be quite extraordinary. It would certainly be record-breaking. It would surpass anything that we've seen since the Second World War. You have to go back about 100 years before you get to anything on this scale in terms of a majority. Let's look at how it's changed, because this is, as Sophie was saying, the second projection that we've had in this election campaign. And you can see things have actually got worse for the Conservatives. When we talked about this on June the 3rd, the projection was a 194-seat majority. Now it's 200, so things are going in the wrong direction. Labour looks like it's solidified its position through this campaign. There'll be a lot of dismay, I think, in Tory circles that this number is going up. And it will mean that that man over there, Keir Starmer, has an absolutely commanding majority of the House of Commons. He will be able to get his legislation through without much difficulty, without potentially much scrutiny. So it would be a huge sea change in British politics. Let's sweep through what the new House of Commons would look like if, and it's quite a big if, there's lots of uncertainty, if this projection turns out to be right, and this is the shape of the House of Commons. And here you have it. The Labour Party would be on 425 seats. That's a record. In fact, so many of these numbers that you're looking at in the screen are records. 425 seats, that's more than Blair got in 1997. That's the previous record. He would have that number of MPs, Labour MPs. Rishi Sunak, well, he would be down also to a record low. 108 seats is what YouGov are currently projecting. You've got to go back, I think, to 1906, to Arthur Balfour, before you can get to anything that resembles a figure as low as this. But this one certainly breaks the records. You can see over here, Ed Davey. This is another record. The Liberal Democrats. Now, the last record for the Liberal Democrats came in 2005 when Charles Kennedy was leader. But could this man, Sir Edward Davey, do even better if the Lib Dems get 67 seats? That's beyond the wildest dreams of any Liberal Democrat that I've been talking to. This party, run by Nigel Farage, led by Nigel Farage, well, that didn't exist at the last election, and it's now on course to get 5 seats, including a seat for that man there, Nigel Farage, who could be elected in Scotland. Another record over here, coloured in green. This is the Green Party. They would double their representation to 2. That would take out a member of the Labour shadow cabinet in Bristol if they did succeed in doing that. And bad news as well up in Scotland. There's John Swinney, the Scottish leader, launching his manifesto today. They would approximately halve the number of seats up there. So you can see the seismic change it would mean. Let's have a look at just the scale of the change since the last election. There it is. Labour doubling almost, or nearly doubling the number of MPs that it would have. Remember, it was Jeremy Corbyn in 2019 that was fighting that election. A lot of people said that Keir Starmer couldn't climb this mountain, but my goodness, he has. But the real disaster electorally will be for the Conservatives. They would lose 257 seats. You can see the SNP here, more than half of their seats would be lost. Greens would double their seats. Look at this for the Liberal Democrats. You can see they only got 11 seats at the last election. Now they would go up to 67, and all 5 seats for Reform would be new. So that would be the whole shape of the House of Commons as it stands, Sophie. It would be a seismic change to our politics. Keir Starmer would have an unquestionable advantage in the next Parliament. If it's right, there is quite a lot of uncertainty. 109 different seats are, I think, the projection is less certain about. So we are at a phase where, you know, there is still uncertainty about the scale of the majority, but whatever it looks like Labour on course for something extraordinary on July the 4th.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing, isn't it? To emphasise that so many of these seats are still seen as toss-ups, there is a lot of uncertainty. But I remember that first YouGov MRP and breaking it here with you on Sky News, which felt like a big moment in the campaign when I think it was very clear how far Labour were ahead. And now that lead, according to the YouGov MRP, has just extended over halfway through. Very difficult to see really anything changing.
All the political parties have fired their major bullets, whether it's the manifesto launches, the first of the big interviews, the big Sky Grimsby election event, and it's had a big impact. I think we can look at more figures here. Now, when you have a big polling projection, there are shares of the vote. You'll be familiar with them from polling, and you can see the enormous 200 majority for Labour. Well, that comes from the Labour Party not even getting 40% of the vote. The 39% is the implied vote share for the Labour Party. The Tories crashing to 22%. Of course, Labour, the SNP only in Scotland, 3%, but 7% for the Greens. One of the big stories, I think, is the rise of smaller parties at the expense of the big two parties. It's not hurting Labour's prospects. But you've got the Liberal Democrats on 12 and Reform actually ahead of the Liberal Democrats, even though they get far fewer seats on 15%. So you can see that's the political math that lie behind the projection today from YouGov.
It's really shows, doesn't it, like a splintering of the political system in many ways, despite that big majority for the Labour Party. A redrawing of the map, it's almost become a cliche, but that is what we're seeing. And also, I guess, how quickly it's changed. It's almost enough to give you whiplash, thinking that just the last time round, it was these guys with the big majority. I think you've got some more stuff that you can run us through, Sam.
Yeah, let's look at the next graphic. So, here is all sorts of the results that we had last time on June the 3rd when we last did one of these big projections. And now let's have a look at the change, because these are what we had before. You can see all of the... What you can see, basically, Sophie, is that there are 59 different seats that have changed category just in the last 3 or so weeks. What that tells us is that the campaign appears to be changing mind, and you can see it. Look at the colours. So you saw a lot of blue beforehand, but now you can see lots of Liberal Democrat orange here. The Liberal Democrats clearly have started picking up particularly places in the southwest, and you can see Labour as well, and you can see the first of the Reform light blue here. All of these are different projected seat results to the last time we did the exercise on June the 3rd. Let's have a little look at how it's changed. So you can see there, since the last time we did this, the Conservatives are 32 seats worse. Labour are 3 seats better off. Liberal Democrats up 19. They're the big winners today, as are Reform. The SNP ever so slightly better. So you can see there how the campaign has made a difference. It's made a difference for the worse for the Conservatives. Labour more or less staying the same, but the Lib Dems, Ed Davey, with all his stunts, appears to have captured the public mood, and you can see exactly what's going on and how the public mood has changed as a result of the last 2 or 3 weeks.
Extraordinary. And you often hear, don't you, that what normally happens is that the polls narrow during election campaigns. This not really seemed to be the case at all. These are the top lines from what Sam's been saying. As Sam was saying, the lowest Conservative seats ever, the biggest Labour majority ever, the Lib Dems surging in the campaign, what Sam was just saying there as well about how they have been doing better as the campaign's gone on. And then here, over half of the cabinet to lose their seats. Extraordinary, extraordinary predictions here.